50 Shades of Grey. This is the historical context and about the author E.L. James. So 50 Shades of Grey is the first book in an erotic or romance fiction trilogy, and it was originally written as a fan fiction series inspired by Stephanie Meyer's best-selling Twilight saga. And the story became notorious on the internet in 2011 due to its description of sexually explicit imageries and dramatic readings by various authors. And the author, E.L. James, whose real name is Erica Michelle Leonard, is a middle-aged married woman living in a modest, semi-detached red brick house in a rather unfashionable area in West London. And she was born in London in a Chilean mother and a Scottish father who was a BBC cameraman, and Michelle was raised in Buckinghamshire, and she was privately educated, then read history at the University of Kent before she was a studio manager's assistant at the National Film at Beaconsfield. She was a housewife behind her novel 50 Shades of Grey and spends her spare time doing her son's laundry, and there's no sign of red broom of pain at her London home in contrast with her novel, and she has been credited with launching a whole new genre of mommy porn or through 50 Shades of Grey. And she met Niall, whom she married in 1987. And her husband, a 53-year-old screenwriter, was reluctant to comment on his wife's newfound success, and not least because he is saving his publicity firepower for his own hastily written children's books. And she has confessed that her husband was tired of the experimentalism she used as a primary research, and she does not want her two sons to read her novel. She said that she was feeling embarrassed when her two sons will read her novel. And the experiments taken for her novel, she revealed that the secrets of her research, telling how she phoned up on her local car garage to ask if two people could have sex in the back of the Audi R8, and she proved that sex can be done at the back of the car. And she also confessed of being embarrassed by men reading her book, and she hates having her work described as a mommy porn. And Michelle has appeared unschooled and flustered when talking about sex. And her husband reads everything she writes and seemingly unperturbed by the steamier episodes, and she and her husband executed some of the parts of the novel, particularly the sex scenes or the BDSM, for Erica to feel and know the real feeling of having that kind of experience and reflect it on her own novel. And here are the additional informations about the novel. Originally, it was written as a fan fiction, as I've said earlier, and then Erica decided to take it down after there were some comments about the racy nature of the material. And this erotica bestseller began as a work of Twilight fan fiction called Master of the Universe, and earning a massive fan fiction following years before the book deals. And most traces of his fan fiction history have been removed from the internet using the Wayback Machine. The snapshots from James' old work can no longer be accessed, getting a peek into the book's previous incarnation as an X-rated, and it was based on the story or the novel, the Twilight Saga. And under the pseudonym Snow Queen's Ice Dragon, where it had more 37,000 views or reviews. After the fanfiction.net editors had James remove the story due to its racy content, and the original story was rehosted on James' personal website, which is 50shadesofgrey.com, in December of 2010. And now, in the internet, evidence of its start has been deleted, so its origins have been erased from the internet, so we can research clearly, or the clear history of the novel. And on May 21st, 2012, the New York Times published an article entitled Libraries Debates Talking 50 Shades of Grey Trilogy, which reported that Brevard County Public Library in Florida removed copies of the novels from the library when it is decided that it is not appropriate for the readers for its racy content and sexual abuse and many more. And on the modern period, times of literary works and publications, at that time, on the modern period, self-publishing serves as an alternative to the sluggish world of mainstream publishing, and it helps the writers cut out the middlemen, including editors and agents, and publish their work directly with them. When authors publish their own literary work, it is equivalent to self-made men and women, which are characters of the novels. And 50 Shades of Grey was published by author itself, E.L. James. That's why it is considered as a self-publishing literary work. And when we say self-publishing literary work, it helps the people to write and share their own versions of the characters in different places, time, periods, and relationships. And sometimes, as in the case of 50 Shades of Grey, those relationships get sexual, and 50 Shades of Grey has this is the best example of this self-publishing literary work. And it has a film adaptation on July 24, 2014. The 50 Shades of Grey YouTube channel released the first official trailer for the film, and within a week, the video gained over 13.2 million views. And that's why it gives a big or a great impact on the society because of its popularity. And on May 22nd, 2012, the New Yorker published an article entitled 50 Shades of Grey to the How-To class, which noted that New York erotic boutique Babeland had started giving classes on how to perform the sex acts described in the trilogy. And later that month, the Headman Hotel in Portland, Oregon, which is named in the book, began offering 50 Shades themed packages, especially on hotels, on a couple, and they are offered a bottle of wine and a gray tie, which is a symbol of the novel itself. And also the couple, after their dinner date, they are offered to ride a helicopter, just like what is on the novel. And another fact in the history of historical context of 50 Shades of Grey is that the hotel managers removed Bibles on the hotel rooms on specific establishments or hotels, and they replaced it with the novel 50 Shades of Grey. And 50 Shades of Grey gained organizations and many followers, and it increases the sales on ropes, chains, and other sex toys and equipments used in doing the BDSM type of sex and relationship. And it had many covered art parodies and celebrity reading, which are dramatic. And many argued about who will star the Christian Grey in the film, and that was a great issue. And the film was said to be released on February 2015. And as a conclusion, this shows that how people of the modern era embraces this type of literary work, whom are vulgar, erotic, and talks more about sex, and has widened the idea of liberalism. And although the novel is removed on a certain point of time, still the society was able to raise the popularity of this novel and accepts the content of the book.
50 Shades of Grey. In this novel, Anastasia Steele meets business tycoon Christian Grey while doing an interview for her roommate Kate. Anna is instantly attracted to the handsome Christian Grey, but he lives in a world completely alien to her. Despite his initial reluctance, Anna and Christian grow closer and he introduces her to his world with all the honesty and patience that he can muster. At first, it seems like an adventure to Anna, but soon Anna finds herself involved in things that she does not fully understand. For our general claim, human relationships should not be based on sexual intimacy, nor is it characterized by the use of control and abuse. According to Rabindranath Tagore, love does not claim possession, but gives freedom. Basically, people usually see a pattern in which a certain relationship where one person overpowers the other by acknowledging oneself as dominant and the other as submissive. This kind of a relationship is what Christian Grey has in 50 Shades of Grey exercise, which is called BDSM, which stands for bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, and sadomasochism. In the novel, Christian played as dominant and Anna as the submissive. The control Christian exercises over her does not reflect his love for her. Rather, it reflects his objectifying of her. He never gives her freedom. He wants her to obey him. He wants to possess her. In the novel, Christian proposes a list of things which Anna should desperately follow. To be able to please Christian, Anna would always do what Christian wants and everything he says, like what to do or what not to do. Wanting to please Christian apparently includes subjecting herself to verbal and emotional abuse. Because anytime she tries to stand up for him, which isn't open, he berates her, guilt strips her, and beats her down verbally until she apologizes and submits to him. Emotional abuse is evidenced in by intimidation and threats, isolation like stalking and humiliation, and the use of alcohol or drugs, or pressure to words, which was evident in the characteristic or character of Christian Grey. But evidently, Christian's control over Anna is depicted and can always be seen inside the Red Room of Faith. Anastasia in the relationship has no freedom, and if she has, it's just a little freedom. Well, a relationship that limits the will and freedom of a person, like Christian and Anna's relationship does not depict a true love. It simply proves that you only love the person because you need him or her, not that you need a person for the reason that you love him or her.
What Christian and Anna's relationship has is not some kind of love relationship, but a relationship that centers in sex. Basically, most people read this novel would perceive Christian's act towards Anna as something that's romantic and sweet. Here are some examples of Christian's blind affection. First, he says still to all the other men who spend time with Anastasia and possibly threatens his possession of her. Second, he makes Anastasia send him emails and text messages so that she can know or he can know what she's doing in all hours of the day. Third, when Anastasia takes a trip by a plane, he buys out the seat next to her so that nobody will be able to sit with her during the flight. Yes. Fourth, when Anastasia goes out of her way to avoid him, and it trains up manipulating a family so that he will not only approve and her dating him, but actively encourage her to spend more time with him. Fifth, buying her a phone, a Mac, and a car. So, behind all these actions the Christian is doing towards Anna is not basically a romantic one, not basically a sweet one, or a sweet act of a lover to his lover. This is basically motivated by his main purpose, which is to make Anna sign their agreement of being his submissive and him being a dominant. Christian here is a sadist who finds sexual gratification by inflicting pain to Anna. And the whole dominant submissive agreement or contract which Christian is offering to Anna, and the contents of it, basically shows how the abusive use of sex is depicted in his novel. How they sexually interact with each other 3 to 5 times a day is an abusive act. For Anna, for the fact that mating drains one's energy. And this is basically the reason why Christian wants Anna to have regular exercise 4 times a week to boost her stamina for their everyday sexual activity. To really let her eat and sleep for 7 hours a day. In the Christian's religion's viewpoint, Anna and Christian have already abused the purpose of sex, which should be exercised under holy matrimony. So again, what Christian and Anna's relationship has is not is a sexual relationship. In the novel, when Anna wishes to talk seriously about their relationship beyond its sexual component, Christian shuts her up with well more sex and sex and sex. And whenever they meet up, they always talk about their agreement and contract of being a dominant submissive relationship and end up having sex afterwards. See how sex-driven their relationship is. But eventually, at the end of the novel, we see how their sexual relationship ended. Anna leaving Christian aside in her life, when she finally opened her eyes, how abnormal Christian Grey is. What 50 Shades of Grey is trying to say is that relationships should not be basically based with sex. Will never really prosper, just like how an Anna's relationship ended. Most couples in this period find sex a necessity or a component of a relationship to make it alive and kicking and successful. Yes, successful relationships are characterized by sexual pleasures. Characterized, yes, but never be based with sex. Because human relationships should not be based with sexual intimacy or control, but respect with each other.